Morning everyone, and welcome to the licence panel hearing this morning. We'll start by doing a round of introductions. My name is Councillor Amanda Pinnock. I'm Chair of the Licensing and Safety Committee. I'll turn to my colleague, Councillor Davis.
Good morning everybody, I'm Councillor Paola Davis on the panel today.
And Councillor Anwar.
I'm Councillor Anwar.
Our Council's legal representative.
Good morning, my name is David Stickley. I'm a solicitor. I work for the Council. My role here is to provide any legal advice to the panel if they require it.
Licensing Officer.
Jordan Barrett, Licensing Officer.
We've got the applicant, Mrs. Navatandram. Just identify yourself. Thank you. And the gentleman next to you. And your representative, please.
Ruston Chair, and I'm the agent for the applicant today.
Thank you. So today, this meeting today has been webcast, so the general public can see what's happening. Turning to the applicant and the applicant's representatives, have you received a copy of the licensing hearing procedure, which explains how the hearing will be conducted and that you've read it and understood it?
Yes,
fantastic. Right, so we'll begin by going through the agenda, and then we will go straight into the reason why we're here, the application. So, minutes of the last meeting then. I think there was only myself here who attended that meeting, so I'm happy to say those are a correct record, and that's the meeting of the 5th of April, 2013. Any declarations of interest? Over to my colleague.
Not from me.
Thank you. Admissions of the public. It's been webcast and there are no members of the public here with us today. Any deputations or petitions? Thank you. Okay. So we're here today in relation to an application for the grant of a premises licence in respect of Abbey Mini Mart, situated at 33 Royds Drive, New Mill, Home Firth. Let's begin by asking the licensing officer, please, to outline the application.
Thank you, Chair. On the 12th of March 2023, the Licensing Department received an application for the grant of a premise licence for Abbey Mini Mart. A copy of this application may be seen at Appendix A. The licensable activities applied for by the applicant are as follows. So sales of alcohol off the premise, Monday to Sunday, 7 AM till 11 PM. In total, one representation from a member of the public has been received relating to this application. The application was also served on responsible authorities to which no representations were received. The premise has held a licence previously since 2016, however this expired on the 31st of December 2021 due to the immigration status of the previous licence holder. The hours were Monday to Friday 7 AM till 9 PM and Saturday and Sunday 8 AM till 9 PM. A copy of this licence may be seen at Appendix B. The representation that was received considered the following licensing objectives would not be met should this licence be granted. They are public nuisance and prevention of crime and disorder. A copy of the representations may be seen at Appendix C. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so we'll move to questions. I've just got a couple. We haven't received a response from them, is that correct?
No responses back.
No objections from them?
No objections.
No objections from anyone else in respect of responsible authorities. So you mentioned Appendix C, where we have an objection from a member of the public, but you also mentioned a previous licence that existed there. Do you have any information about any issues with that licence at the time when it was operating?
Well, I checked the system and there was no issues throughout the licence period for that premise, so no issues.
Thank you. I'll turn to my colleagues. Councillor Davis?
No questions at this time.
Councillor Anwar?
No questions on this.
Over to the applicant's representatives. Any questions for the licensing officer at this stage? Okay, thank you. All right, so we're moving over to the applicant's representative again then. Could you outline your application, please?
Yeah, of course. Thanks, Chair. As you've heard from Jordan, this is a general convenience store which will currently sells a wide range of goods and groceries, such as your milk, general groceries, snacks, soft drinks, tobacco, etc. As you've heard, the shop has held a licence previously. When we spoke to the police about the application, there was no issues that were outlined in terms of any history of any problems at the previous licence. So we've applied for a new licence just to reinstate this licence for the shop. It's important to note alcohol will just be a part of the overall business. You know, this is not a shop that looks to sell alcohol cheaply and in significant quantities. It's a general convenience store which will sell just a small amount of alcohol for the local community. As you walk into the shop, and the floor plan will show this, the counter is there and spirits will be kept behind the counter, and there'll be a selection of beers and wines away from the main door, so the staff can keep an eye on the alcohol sales. It's a family business. Kether, who is the applicant, and her husband, they live about 25-30 minutes away. They've invested in this business and they've taken out a lease for 6 years. So they plan on being in this location long term and hopefully to become an asset to the local community. They would be working in the shop as a family business. Kether is the nominated DPS. Both Kether and her husband have a personal licence, so they have a lot of experience of working in licensed convenience stores. In terms of the application, we say we put forward a really strong and robust application. There's a detailed and comprehensive set of licence conditions which has been put forward. I'm not going to go through each and every single one of them in detail because they are in your bundle and you would have read them before today's hearing. But just to highlight a couple of the main conditions that we say do promote the licensing objectives. A good quality CCTV system. There's actually 16 cameras in the shop, 4 of which cover the outside area. So the whole of the shop is covered by CCTV. It's a good quality CCTV that will keep images for at least 31 days should the police or the council ever need to view any images. The shop would keep an incident log. They would monitor the shop outside the area, outside the immediate area of the shop to see if there's any people or any youths hanging around the shop for any reason. They have adopted the Challenge 25 to prevent any underage sales of alcohol and of course cigarettes and vapes, etc. They will keep a refusals log, and also they will train alcohol through me to make sure that all the staff, and there's going to be another 2 or 3 staff working in the shop, just so they understand the rules and they are aware of the legal responsibilities of each and every sale of alcohol. Chair, we say these conditions are thorough, and I think the important note to mention is that they've been accepted by each and every one of the responsible authorities. We've also submitted examples of the type of due diligence records that will be kept, some training documents, some posters that will be on display. So everything will be in place to make sure this shop continues to sell alcohol responsibly. In terms of the representation, we know there's one representation, but I think it is significant today that none of the experts in the field, the responsible authorities, are here today to oppose the application. Before we submitted the application, we spoke to the police. They were happy for us to make the application. They didn't report any issues. Their role, as you know, is crucial today in terms of information on antisocial behaviour and crime in the particular area. All of the other authorities are satisfied that this application can be granted, including trading standards, licensing, safeguarding and so on. You've already mentioned here today that there's no objections from the local ward councillors and there's no objections from anybody else other than the submitted objector. In fact, there is a lot of support for the local shop. We have submitted a petition, which at the time we submitted the petition was signed by 42 people. It's now signed by over 66 people in support of the application. So we have got local support to show that this shop is considered popular and is an asset to the local community. I think just in terms of the representation, it does say that the shop will attract antisocial behaviour. It says we'll attract nuisance. There'll be underage drinking and drug dealing. And we say, Chair, I mean, with complete respect to the object, that there's no evidence of that. This is a shop that has held a licence before. It's run by responsible operators who both got personal licence, and this shop will sell alcohol responsibly. We will not sell any alcohol underage. The staff will be trained. You know, Ketha and her husband have 3 young children, so they realise the importance of preventing underage sales. So, you know, there won't be any underage sales or drug dealing at or near this shop. The objection mentions litter problems in nearby gardens, and again, I mean, litter it's a particular bugbear of mine, that people will drop litter on the floor, but clearly the shop will put notices up. They'll encourage customers not to drop litter, but if a member of the public wishes to drop litter, you know, 100 metres away, there's very little any business, including this shop or any other local shops, can do. We try to promote our shop as being responsible, but again, it's a matter of individual responsibility if anybody does drop litter in nearby gardens. We will do everything we can. The staff will do litter picks outside. We'll clear litter away from the immediate area. But as I said, if somebody wants to cause an issue in the nearby area, then the licensee or the applicant is only responsible for their shop, but they will do everything that they can to prevent any local issues. We have sought via Jordan, and I've been badgering Jordan a lot to try to engage with the objector. We've sent numerous emails. We don't know who the objector is because we understand that information isn't given to the applicants. So we've gone through Jordan and we have sent numerous emails. There hasn't been a great response to that so far. So obviously that's why we're here today. We would have liked to have met with the objector. We would have liked to maybe arrange to meet at the shop. But unfortunately, you know, that just hasn't been possible in this case. We say, Chair, this will be a well-run shop. It's a strong application, and we say there's no evidence not to grant this application as applied for, Chair. We'll leave it there for now, and if there's any questions, we'll do our best.
Thank you. I've got a few questions. So I'm not familiar with the area, but I do understand, or even according to the objector, there are issues with antisocial behaviour in the area because it talks about more antisocial behaviour. Selling alcohol up until that time may create more antisocial behaviour. I wanted to know a little bit about the applicant's experience, because I think that's relevant to why we're here. If there are issues of antisocial behaviour in the area, how is the applicant likely to address that based on the experience the applicant might have in these circumstances?
Okay, so the applicant has had over 6 years retail experience, going back not consecutively because of family commitments. So they worked previously in Milton Keynes, in Formby. They both have personal licences. So Ketha has had a personal licence from Sefton Council for a number of years. They're good records, clean records. Obviously, the police will do a background check on any issues or problems on the applicant. So they've got a clean record with no underage sales, etc. The CCTV system there is designed to have a look and see what may be happening outside. So obviously they will keep an eye on that. And ultimately, if there is anything that is beginning to happen nearby the shop, they will deal with it quickly. Certainly as the alcohol sales, if a licence is granted, from day one, the staff, before they sell alcohol, will be trained by me. We won't sell alcohol until we're completely ready, that everybody understands the rules and have signed documentation to say they understand the rules. If youths do begin to congregate, then they will use their common sense and experience. They will politely ask them to remove. They know the local people anyway, because they have been operating in the shop there for a couple of months. I haven't mentioned already, I was going to leave that till summary. They have had temporary licences over the last couple of weeks, which haven't reported any issues. The police have been into the shop about 3 weeks ago just to introduce themselves. They had a look around and they were completely happy with what was being proposed. So any issues outside the shop, the CCTV there is there to prevent any issues. But if something does begin to happen, then they will engage with any local people, politely ask them to move. And clearly, if something develops on that, then the next option would be to log it in the book and make a call to the local police.
Okay. From the letter from the objectors, I think what I've sort of pulled out of this is that this particular individual, although we don't know who they are because they're anonymous, are sort of implied that they have already been affected by this business. So one of the things that they talk about is litter in their garden. And they also talk about the roller shutters being slammed shut. That's my, takeaway from what I've read. Have you got any comments on that? Because this individual seems to be affected already. What can we do to minimise that?
I think firstly, we wanted to speak and engage with the person because everybody else completely seems comfortable with the application, and I think our petition of all local people who live nearby supports that. There's no evidence of that. I've spoken to Kathy and her husband about that. The objection mentions a light. It's just a light. It's just a sign on the shop. There might have been one incident a while ago when the light might have been left on overnight by mistake. And I think this person has been to the shop and they've had an amicable discussion. And since then, there's never been any issues with the light. It's just switched off at night. The shop closes currently between 10 and 10:30 if it's quiet. And the family and the staff will put the shutter down as quietly and as quickly as possible. As I said, we don't really know the full facts of the objection because we haven't really been able to engage. So we've not been able to have that information, just to have that discussion with the objector, although we have tried. But certainly, Kathy and her husband and the staff are sensitive to the area and they want the local community to use the shop and not to cause any issues. So, if there has been any issues, then moving forward, that the staff and the applicants will do everything they can to prevent any further issues in the future.
And I think that's helpful to hear. The applicant isn't here, and obviously, they may be watching. They may be watching to see what's going on now. So if the applicant can be mindful. Objector. Sorry. The objector might be watching. If the applicant can be mindful of, obviously, putting the shutters down, how litter might be impacting on people in the area, that will be helpful. Right, I'm going to turn to my colleagues.
One more thing, Chair, just in terms of if the objector is watching today, then we will, encourage contact either through me or through Jordan. We're happy to have a meet on site. If there's anything in particular moving forward, then we're, the family are more than happy to have a meeting. We think that we may be aware of the person, but if they want to make themselves known, then we're more than happy to have that discussion with them.
That's really helpful. Thank you. Councillor Davies?
I just have a question around the litter issue and if people are coming. What provision is there for litter around that area, for litter collection that can be provided?
Just clarifying, Chair, there's 2 council waste bins close to the shop already.
Okay. Okay, interesting, thank you.
Any more questions? That's it. Councillor Anwar?
Yeah, I just have one question. So since you guys have been operating the shop, have you had any complaints from local residents or any concerns raised with yourselves?
Answer that, Chair. The only one that we're aware of might have been the objectors mentions that the light on the front of the shop, which is like a sign board on the light, it was left on during the evening by mistake. That was rectified and has never happened again. I've already spoken to Kathy and her husband whether they've seen any problems or issues in the locality, and they say no. It's a nice area, it's a nice shop, and the local community use this shop, so no, we're not aware of any local issues. And again, just on that point, I think the police, are your primary source of information on crime. They're satisfied that the application can be approved today.
All right, I'll turn to the licence officer. Got any questions?
No questions, Chair.
So we've received one objection, which is provided as Appendix C. Unfortunately, the individual hasn't turned up today to make representations, but we do have something in writing. So I will read what's been said here. Okay. So, hi Jordan, thanks for your response. If the shop was granted a licence to sell alcohol from 6 a.m. to 11 p.m, the off-licence would attract more antisocial behaviour, noise nuisance early in the morning and late at night. It will create more underage drinking and drug dealing. Also, public nuisance to myself and neighbours, being fearful of going out after dark due to too many teenagers drinking and hanging around on the grassed area across from the shop and the derelict school at the side of the shop. They already use this area to sit and drink, then start kicking balls at cars, etc. More litter in our gardens than is already, already a problem, which the shop being open for longer. This is already noticeable now after the shop using these hours for the past 4 or 5 weeks. This will only get worse as lighter days and the summer comes. The lights from the shop are a general nuisance, staying on full whiteboards until 11:30 p.m. when they slam the roller shutters down. There are already 3 co-ops, Wooldale, Woodlands and New Mill, all within a lot less than half a mile from this location in each direction, that serves alcohol, tobacco and newsagents and general grocery products from 7:30 a.m. until 9 p.m. If the shop is to be granted a licence, then I do think that 7:30 a.m. to 7 p.m, 7 days per week, is more acceptable. So that's what's been said there. So we've come to the end, I think, of the reason why we're here today. And I'd like to give everybody an opportunity to sum up what's been said already. So I'll turn to the licensing officer to do that.
Thank you, Chair. We received an application on the 12th of March for Abbey Mini Mart. They have applied for sales of alcohol off-premise, Monday to Sunday, 7 a.m. to 11 p.m. In total, 1 representation from a member of the public was received, mainly in relation to ASB and noise nuisance. I did check with West Yorkshire Police, and from the 1st of April 2022 to the 31st of March 2023, there were no ASB incidents for Rogers Drive. The premises held a licence before, which expired on the 31st of December 2021, and there were no issues. They've had tens. This new applicant has had tens over the last couple of months, and again, no issues have been reported. When determining the application, members having had regard to representations may take such steps as they consider appropriate for the promotion of licensing objectives. These steps are to grant the licence with appropriate conditions, to exclude from the scope of the licence any of the licensing activities which relate to this application, or reject the application. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Ms. Representative, sum up or closing remarks?
Yeah, I'll try to keep this brief, Chair. Just to summarise, I mean, this will continue to be a well-run shop. We just want to add a little amount of alcohol to offer the local community, together with everything else that the shop sells. We asked the committee to give considerable weight to the fact that there's no objections from any responsible authorities, and also the local ward members. I think if there were any particular issues in this area, then local residents may have taken the opportunity to speak to their local councillors and submitted representations. There are powers to deal with ASB in the area, so if there is any ongoing issues or future issues, then the authorities can deal with that. But we say, that antisocial behaviour currently isn't attributable to the shop, and our premises will do everything that we can within our control to promote the licensing objectives. Just a word on the word evidence. I mean, there's no evidence here, Chair, today, we say, and again, we say that with the greatest respect to any objector. The evidence doesn't support what has been said in writing today. The police have got no issues with our shop, and they've actually been to the shop in the last few weeks just to have a look around and to meet the applicants, which was great. So we welcome that. The objection is based maybe on some speculation, and just to confirm, we say that there's no evidence to support that today. If something did go wrong, or if any objector or any local residents had any issues with this premises or any other premises, there is the safety net of the review procedure to follow if there's a problem moving forward. But we say with this application, with an applicant who's got lots of experience, has a personal licence, and have invested significantly in this business, we say that's unlikely to happen, and that this shop will promote the licensing objectives. Just one comment in terms of the representation. They do refer to other premises in the area. We all accept that needs isn't a relevant consideration today. So the volume of other shops nearby, or whether there's too many or too few, isn't relevant with a licensing committee today. We say, Chair, with the application submitted, with the conditions that we've offered, that this application we ask you to approve today. Thanks, Chair.
Thank you. So thank you everyone for coming along. We now need an opportunity to consider what we've heard. So can I ask everyone to step out of the room just for a few minutes to allow us to do that? Thank you. Thank you everyone for your patience. We have a couple of questions for the licensing officer just to clarify something for us to help us arrive at our decision. I'll let Councillor Davis ask the question.
Thank you, Chair. During our discussions we had, what came up was, have there been temporary licences in operation during the last couple of months? And can you tell us what the extent of those are, please?
Yeah, so whilst the premise licence was, the application was going through the objection period and the applicant has submitted temporary events notices, they've been running for the past, I believe, a month, and there's been no issues at all. The hours applied for on the 10s were the same hours that they've applied for as part of the licence. So that's 7 till 11. Yeah, and there's been no issues. I believe it finished maybe 2 weeks ago, I believe. I haven't got the exact dates, but yeah, there's been no objection, no complaints or no issues from members of the public about the licences.
Thank you.
I can't remember whether it was you, Jordan, or whether it was the applicant's representative who talked about the police coming to visit. Was that in association with the temporary events?
It was round about that time, Chair, yeah. Just to confirm what Jordan said, we've used the 26 days worth of temporary event notices, which is the maximum allowed per calendar year. So whilst the application was pending, and then given that there was a representation which delayed matters further, we've utilised temporary licences during that time.
Could I just ask, is there any particular reason why you did that? Was that really to demonstrate that, you know, when you applied today, you could rely on that? I'm just interested to know why you did that in particular.
Yeah, for that reason, 2 reasons. One, just to get the business developed as quickly as possible, because there are shops nearby selling alcohol, then a lot of customers, if they want to buy a bottle of wine, they will go to the other shops and buy some groceries as well. So it does affect any convenience business. And also, as you've said, it demonstrates that we can run a business selling alcohol responsibly. And the fact that we've got a petition during that period also just demonstrates that this shop will sell alcohol responsibly.
Councillor Davis, any more questions? Councillor Anwar? No. Right. Could everybody step outside again, just so we can have another think about things? Thank you. It's been really helpful. Thank you everyone for your patience. Okay, so we're here in respect of an application for grant of premises licence for Abbey Mini Mart, situated at 33 Royce Drive, New Mill, Home Firth. We've listened to evidence today presented and information from an objector about the application, and we've taken the decision to grant the licence as applied for, so 7 a.m. to 11 p.m. But also we note what the applicant representative has said about wanting to work with the objector or anyone else in the area who may be affected by this, and what, as a committee, what we'd like is for everybody to work together. If there's any issues, then by working together, hopefully they can be resolved. So I'd encourage, if you are affected by what's happening, you get in touch with the applicant. Okay, so thank you everyone for attending. Also, it'll be sent out in writing. The decision will be sent out in writing as well. All right, so thank you for attending and have a nice day. Really forgot.